Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Heidi. Heidi by Johanna Spyri, written in 1881, is perhaps one story that the reader, whether young or old, can never quite forget in a hurry. The beauty of the Alpine mountains, Grandfather Alp, the Goatherd Peter, his blind grandmother Clara in her wheelchair are unforgettable. Above all, 5-year-old Heidi, the most vivid and most memorable of all the characters, is the embodiment of hope and joy she brings to all those around her. One June morning, a tall, sturdy young woman could be seen climbing up the path on her way to the pretty little village of Dorfley, halfway up the Swiss mountains. The air was fragrant with the scent of mountain flowers growing in the rich green pastures higher up. The sky was blue and the sun shone down brilliantly. She had a bundle in one hand and held a little girl about 5 years old with black eyes and curly black hair by the other. The child's sunburnt cheeks were flushed, which was not surprising, for though the sun was hot, she was wrapped up as though it was midwinter. She was wearing two heavy frocks, one on top of the other, and a large red scarf wound round and round as well. She looked like some shapeless bundle of clothing as they trudged uphill in her heavy boots. Tired, Heidi? Diddy asked her. No, but I'm feeling very hot, the child replied. Diddy had made the child wear many clothes so that she would not be burdened with a heavier bundle. After climbing for about an hour, they reached the village. This had been the woman's old home, and people called out to her from their cottages all the way up the street. She did not say much to them in reply and kept walking without stopping till she met her childhood friend Barbie. Hello, Detty. Where are you going with the child? She asked, the plump, pleasant faced woman. I suppose she is the orphan of your dead sister left? That's right. This is Heidi. I am taking her up to Uncle Alp. I have looked after her up to now. Somehow, in spite of not being employed, I don't mind telling you, I am not going to turn down a good job like the one I've just been offered because of this child. It's time her grandfather looked after her. He must do his duty, said Detty. Are you crazy? Cried Barbie. How can you even think of such a thing? He has had nothing to do with the village people since the time his son was killed. He has not set his foot in the village, talks to no one, nor does he attend church. They are all terrified of him. He looks so fierce and wild, with those bristling grey eyebrows and that dreadful long beard. He will never agree to look after this child, never. Maybe, but he's got to look after his granddaughter now. And with that, the determined Detty marched off, dragging the child behind her. While the two ladies had been talking, Heidi had sat down and pulled off her boots and stockings, unwound her scarf, and taken off both the dresses. When she stood up, she was just in her petticoat. She laughed and waved her arms in delight, then quickly laid all her clothes in a neat pile to carry and was ready for Detty as they set off again. It took another hour before they could reach the high pasture where Uncle Alp's hut stood on a little plateau. The little house was exposed to every wind that blew, but it also caught all the sunlight and commanded a glorious view right down the valley. Three tall fir trees with huge branches stood behind it. Uncle Alp had made a wooden seat and fixed it to the side of the hut looking over the valley. It was here that they found him, sitting peacefully, smoking his pipe. Uncle Alp's hut. The moment little Heidi saw him, she left Dette's hand and ran up and was the first to reach the old man. She went straight up to him and held out her hand. "Hello, grandfather," she said, smiling up at him. "Hey, what's that?" he exclaimed gruffly, staring searchingly at her as he took her hand. She stared back, fascinated by the strange looking man with his wild looks. Meanwhile, Detty came towards them. "Good morning, Uncle Alp. I have brought you Tobias's daughter. I don't suppose you recognize her, as you haven't seen her since she was a year old." "Why have you brought her here?" he demanded roughly. "She has come to stay with you, uncle," replied Tete. "Coming straight to the point, I have done all I could for her these 5 years. Now it's your turn." "My turn, is it?" snapped the old man, glaring at her. "And what am I supposed to do when she misses you and starts to cry and fret for you?" "That's your problem," retorted Detty. She then told him about the job offer in Germany and said, "If you can't have her here, do what you like with her, but it will be on your conscience." "Ha!" she mocked. "Leave. Go back. Don't come back here in a hurry," shouted grandfather, getting up and grabbing Heidi by her shoulders to keep her back. Dete was a bundle of nerves by now. She didn't wait to be told twice. "Goodbye, Heidi," she cried hastily, and she ran off down the mountain, not stopping till she came to Dorfley. Word meanings with sentences. Sturdy. It means strong and made to last. The pioneers built sturdy cabins on the frontier. Fragrant. It means sweet smell. An example of its sentence is: the valleys within the hill ranges are fragrant with aromatic shrubs. Pasture. It means land covered with grass. An example of its sentence is: They rode the bicycle across the pasture and entered a path through the forest. Trudge, meaning walk slowly with heavy steps in the mud or snow. Sentence: the hikers trudged home in the pouring rain. Plump, meaning pleasantly fat. An example of its sentence is: this baby has got plump little arms and legs. Terrified. It is an adjective. It means very afraid. Examples of its sentence are: number 1, I was terrified when the airplane had to make an emergency landing. Second sentence, I am terrified of spiders. Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful to you, then please like and share my video with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel.